Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Hasbanallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Johnny's Bite. This morning, we're also live on 3FM 92.7. It's your urban lifestyle radio. Alfredo Kansi and Helena Piampo, they are there. And so if you're checking out, just plug in your earpieces or turn on your radio and you can listen to us live on 3FM 92.7. But this is Johnny's Bite. Go onto our social media pages, share it, like it, let the people know that Johnny's Bite is still alive and well, and no amount of intimidation will win. I'll take you back to the announcement of the 2023 budget by the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Planning, Ken Ofori-Atta. He didn't do that on his own because at the time he did that, the president was out in Qatar, but he was doing it on behalf of the President of the Republic and Cabinet and everybody else. He made some very, very interesting point that I want you to pay attention to. Oliver, play the video for me. And you see, I want you to hear this video particularly so to prepare your mind for what's happening or what's going to happen in 2023 if you're a young person. And yesterday I spoke about young people and how consistently some people have built an industry of violence within the political space. And how largely we bring people of northern extraction to come and foment trouble largely. I'm not saying other tribes are not involved, but largely you see that people of northern extraction, you see people of Ashanti extraction, Ghana extraction, and all of that. And then you find out that particularly, I'm worried about my brothers and sisters from the north because I go there a lot. And you see that development has moved away from the place or is either not going to the place. And for me, that's what we should be concerned about. That's a conversation for yesterday. Today, I want you to focus on Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, what he spoke about in the budget. Listen.
Freeze on new tax waivers for foreign companies and review of tax exemptions for free zone mining oil and gas companies. A hiring freeze for civil and public servants. No new government agency shall be established in 2023. There shall be no hampers for 2022. There shall be no printing of diaries, notepads, calendars, and other promotional merchandise by MDAs, MFDAs, and SOEs for 2024. All non-critical projects must be suspended for 2023 financial.
So my focus is not the hampers and all because those ones, they are small things. The big conversation, and you see how the minister buried it in the middle of in the pile of all those who there will not be hampers, fuel, blah, blah, blah. The key thing is that in 2023, there will not be any public sector or civil servants employment. That's what the minister said. That's what the government intends to do. So in 2023, if you have not already been employed as a civil servant, as a nurse, as whatever it is, all those jobs, forget about it. You may be sitting at home for the whole year. Now, shockingly, Ghana's unemployment rate, and we don't have the recent figures because I couldn't get a third quarter, but let's just pay attention to the second quarter. Ghana records 13.9% unemployment rate in the second quarter of 2022. It's not Johnny Hughes who said it. It's the Ghana Statistical Service report. 13.19 unemployment rate, second quarter. So let's read the story. And this was when they launched it. You know, it says about 1.74 million. That's 13.4% of the total working population of 13 million in the age bracket of 15 years and above in the first quarter of the year were unemployed. A study conducted by the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed. This is the shocking one. So already we have this backlog, and then in 2023, we will not be employing. Mind you, before we had been told that the payroll is being choked, but certain sectors have seen employment, particularly the presidency. It is expanding. So while we are told that payroll is choked, we can't employ, some people are getting employment, but the dangerous one is that in 2023, you may not get employed if you are hoping to get employed by the government, which brings us to the private sector. The private sector is shrinking, we know. They are going to pay 2.5% more VAT, that's 15%. Property rate has increased. What do you call it? Other fees and charges have increased. So the private sector, then you can add interest rates. The private sector, those who have invested their monies into those instruments, the bonds that are going to receive the haircuts, the same private sector, that now, if government doesn't employ, and the government says they are the engine of growth, so, how ready is the private sector, which is now shrinking, to take on the unemployment burden from next year? Have you thought about it as a young person? Because in 2023, if government cannot employ, it then behoves on the private sector to employ. Is the private sector ready to take on the unemployment burden from next year? Because government will not employ, and the private sector is shrinking. Think about it painfully. Now, again, the private sector, because of the haircuts, because of the excruciating tax regimes, because of the unfavorable means of doing business, the private sector will have to cut jobs. Think about it. So you may be sitting pretty and not talking and thinking that, oh, everything is okay. I have a job, I have a job, I have a job. When your boss is hit and he can no longer pay you, his water bill has gone up, electricity has gone up, rent has gone up, property rate has gone up, VAT has gone up, other fees and charges have gone up. When they can no longer pay, what they will do is that they will ask you to go home. Are you prepared to go home? Because the government is not ready to employ. And this is where you expect that the groupings, AGI, GUTA, and the rest, they will be speaking about, but you find them making certain condescending statements. When the people wanted the finance minister out, AGI came to support him. Yesterday, you read the statement of GUTA. So now you're asking yourself questions because they largely control the private sector. And I'm worried. I'm worried because already 13.9%. 13.9%. That's what we have. Think about it. I want you to think about it deeply as a young person. And maybe I'll share this video. Yesterday I was in Bubuashi. Yeah? Yesterday I was in Bubuashi. I'll share this video with you. Oliver, I'm sending the video to you now so you can play. Yesterday I was in Bubuashi. A young man had just come to steal. He came. Nice young man. I'm not blaming it on maybe his bad morals or bad parental upbringing or whatever it is. The situation is tough. It doesn't call for you to steal. But I'm sure that if he had a job available for him, he would not do that, not justifying his thing. Do you know what the guys did? They put him in the gutter and asked him to dig out the gutter. They didn't beat him. They asked him to dig out the gutter and later they took him to the police station. That's how terrible the situation is. And then when you ask the questions, they either put you inside a certain political bracket or they insult you. And it's the same young people. That's him, Bubuashi. He came to buy food. That's what they said. Saw somebody's phone and stole it. And then they chased him and caught him. And then they gave him the shovel and they said, enter the gutter and start digging. Fine young man. He was wearing a wristwatch. Look at him. Nicely dressed. So the town is hot. And if the town is hot, the large population are women, youth, and children. It is time for the women, youth, and children to be asking the questions. So question number one. Since government will not be employing in 2023, is the private sector willing or does it have the capacity to employ what government cannot employ? Question number one. Question number two. If the private sector is shrinking, how are they supposed to expand by getting these people on? Question number three. Will our parliament allow for all the things I mentioned to pass so that the private sector will not get the breathing space to be able to take you on as a young person? Question number four. If the haircut does happen, when those who have secured jobs already and job cuts begin, will they be affected? How would they and their families survive? That's the question I'm asking this morning. Good morning.